Hey everybody, welcome to Scribbles with Jonathan. I'm your host, Jonathan Rector. You guys can check out my website at jonathanrector.com. You guys can follow me on Twitter at artbyjar. Excuse me. And if you guys are on DeviantArt as well, if you go to jonathanrector.com, right at the front there, right in the box, right in the text box on the left, I had a little, the icons have been there for a while, links to my YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. I added one down there for my DeviantArt as well. I've been on DeviantArt for a while now, and I haven't really represented it, so if anybody's on there, by all means, you guys can go on there and tackle it up. So what are we doing today? Today we're going to do part 2 of foreshortening, and maybe some tips, tricks, magic stuff. And just wanted to say real quick, I hope some of you guys are enjoying the first one. And if anybody's got any comments or anything, if I made something unclear, just let me know and I'll try to tackle it for you. These are just things that are working for me, and I would recommend definitely looking at other people to see how they're doing what they're doing, to see if it can improve what you're doing. But yeah, so I hope this helps you guys anyway. I wanted to do a couple techniques that I've seen from other artists that I learned from in order to get myself a little bit better with foreshortening. And the first guy I'm going to do is a friend I think a lot of people know, is Burn Hogarth. And what Burn Hogarth does is he tries to break things down in the most simplistic shapes so that you know what's going on. So let's just do that right now. Let's say we have Joey, okay? And Joey's sitting down on a chair. And we're going to do a quick box for Joey's hips. Okay, so Joey's got his hips, and let's just arc them up here. And just to put it in context so you guys can see what's going on, that would be Joey's rib cage up there. He's got a big thick spine right there. And since Joey's sitting down, he's going to need his, his thighs are going to be coming at us. And I'm not going to put them directly in front of us, so it'll look kind of ridiculous. We'll try to make him look like he's having a good time. Okay, so if you're to split that in half, you got a circle, and this is really primitive stuff here, okay? I'm going to show you where we would do this a little bit after, but so we'll say those are where literally his hips pop out of, or sorry, his thighs pop out of his hips, okay? Now, when you're drawing a thigh, we're going to have the thigh, and right there, okay, the kneecap, it's much smaller than the rest of the thigh. So we'll say his kneecap comes out to about here, okay? So all you do is you just do a little circle, just like that, and you would just connect it. And now you have a thigh, and I know it might look a little weird, but this could be absolutely ridiculous. We'll even do one up here. Okay, so you just connect those two like that, and now you have thighs going in really weird directions. So maybe instead of Joey sitting, he's dodging bullets or something. Now the exact same thing can be said for connecting the kneecap to the calf. So if we were to do another circle right here, and just connect those suckers right there. I'm just going to darken it up. Remember, whatever you darken up in the front makes it look like it's popping over what's behind it. So it makes it look like it's coming closer towards us, okay? And this leg, we'll put it over here. We'll do the exact same thing. And I mean, then you could toss in your foot, whatever, that's fine. Now, this is an excellent way to learn how to draw, okay? But it's boring as hell. I mean, when you look at this, it just doesn't have any, there's no reality to it. But I can't underline this enough. The understanding, the fundamentals that you're getting from here are paramount. I mean, you're going to be able to take this into doing something a little bit more adventurous, for lack of better words. But we'll just try doing a little more adventure right now. So I'll just draw you how I normally would do it. So we'll say, okay, so here's his hips. Try to get some motion even though they're hips, and what I would normally do is, it's very similar to that, except I prefer, myself anyway, to draw what's closer at us first, and usually, or a joint, and usually it's a kneecap, and I'll even go ahead and just block in a kneecap, and we're going to say it's going to come like this. I should probably do some gesture lines so you guys can see where we're going to go. So we're going to say it's like maybe Spider-Man swinging here. So I would toss in a kneecap right up there. And, maybe his foot would be around there or something like that. So what I would do is I'd go ahead and I would just draw his foot. And we're looking at the bottom of his foot here, and we're just going to do a very, very primitive foot. I'm not looking for anything overly dynamic at this moment here, okay? So now I have his foot. I'm just going to actually construct the whole foot here. And now we know where the ankle's going to be, roughly. A lot of this stuff takes some bits and pieces to go back over and over again. But now I know exactly, again, following this, I can do that with this, like boom, right there we have it. But there's a calf muscle. And this is kind of like where people's specific styles come in, where you can start really playing with muscles and how you like shapes. What muscles you like to accentuate, what you like to show, stuff like that, okay? And we'll even toss in a little muscle over there for his thigh. And I'm not sure if I talked about this in the previous video, but I definitely think it's something I should really bring up, is when you're doing anatomy at all, this doesn't necessarily pertain to foreshortening, but it does play a key role. Sorry. So let's say there's a chair, and you have, again, Joey, he's going to be our model for today, and Joey's sitting down, he's got a hunchback, bad posture, Joey, and, so he's sitting there, yada, 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 and he's got his butt. All right, Joey's a skinny guy. He likes to play a lot of World of Warcraft or something, so he's on his computer. At least he's far away enough. All right, so we have Joey. That's great. Joey looks fine. The problem is right here. It's something that I know probably doesn't pertain too much to this, but I'm going to show you why it relates to it. There's gravity happening, right? So his butt wouldn't look like... I can't believe we're drawing butts right now, but... Okay, so we'll see Joey's butt's like this, and his thigh comes out. Good for you, Joey. This is fine. But if you really wanted to sink Joey in, and I mean, you got to be careful. You don't want to make it look like he's got a saggy butt. But this idea right here of just, there's weight. There's weight being pushed and squeezed there, okay? Now, the reason why I'm trying to show you this is because muscles, as fine as this thigh might look, this muscle looks fine. Right here, there's a reason why it curves into the hips right there. Because when you're looking at it, your hips, they're not round like that. Or sorry, your thigh, it's not round like that. Your thigh actually dips in. There's a muscle that comes in here. Muscles, they're not cylinders. Muscles, they have shape. And the really difficult part about wrapping it up is not only do they have a shape like this, but we're not even talking about if the muscle's being flexed, Like if you had a bicep for an arm, we'll put an arm right there. We'll say the bicep was right there. You got a forearm and a tricep. That's cool. But because the arm is actually being lifted up, the bicep kind of pops out a bit. Okay, so I hope you guys can see that. Like, this is wrong. The only way that would work is if he was on a chair. And even then, it should be a little bit more pronounced. But if he wasn't on a chair and he was just flexing his arm, that muscle would pop. So you need to think about things like this when you're doing your foreshortening. And I realize this isn't really talking too much about foreshortening, so I apologize about that. But what else were we going to jump into that I was going to show you guys? I'm drawing a blank now that I got this blank page. But I do see a lot of people, they'll do something like, okay, we'll get a face in here, and then they'll do this. And they'll do the stick person to get the gesture, which is fine. We'll say that's where the chest is going to go. They'll go, okay, so there's a shoulder. There's a shoulder, and we'll say it's like a wizard, and he's coming up here, and he's got a little elbow, and then his wrist, and then his hand is out here. And he's got his hands in some funky position because he's casting a spell. If this is what works for you to be able to visualize what's going on, by all means go ahead. If you need to be able to see this so you can get in your shapes, like, okay, there's a forearm that connects to the shoulder. We got a bicep that comes in here. And then we have a shoulder that goes like that. And you're going to need to look at anatomy books, obviously, so you can see how muscles connect. If that's what you need to do, do it. Okay? What I recommend, and this is just a personal preference, guys, okay, is instead of doing something like that, be a little bit more organic with it. Be a little bit more scribbly with it, okay? So you can still do a lot of your stuff you're doing, but, okay, so we know we're going to have a hand up here maybe somewhere, right? And get real loose with your pencil, okay? Make really light sketches. Don't carve in and start doing erasing. And the reason you're going to go light is because you can go in here and just start, sculpting out. Okay, if I have his hands, kind of looking like that, and then you can start sculpting out where muscles could go and where joints are going to go, overlapping forms and shapes, pushing in and finding out what you need, what's going to go on, what you're missing. And now that you have all this, I know it looks like a total mess, but now that you have this, you could go in there with your kneadable eraser or your eraser and lightly erase it, and now you can start picking out exactly the lines that you want. Okay, I'm just going to try to go real quick here. Now I see the exact same things that are going on here, but I've kind of like molded it out, if that makes any sense. There's different styles of drawing. Some people, they prefer the highly structured things, and I do a lot of that when I'm doing something that needs to be 100% accurate. But with foreshortening, I find you can get away with a little bit more, okay? it's totally preference. I mean, this as opposed to this, they both work. It's all your style, all your choices of how you want to draw and how you want to work. Another recommendation you could do, and I hope I have enough time for this. Let me very quickly get another piece of paper. I forget where exactly I've seen this. I think it was in a Burn Hogarth again as well. If you wanted to have like a guy running at us with a gun, okay, but I don't know how to overlap form, what you could do is on the side really quick on a scrap piece of paper if you needed to. Let's say we have Joey again. Joey's got his gun right here. We got his hand. Put a shoulder up here, and I don't know. He's got a leg coming out here, and he's running. Go, Joey, go. And he's got to get another gun over here. He's shooting a gun, okay? This is sideways. This is kind of janky here, but what you can do is everybody, well, not everybody, but most people, they can draw, standard straight-on shots or a side view and a three-quarter view. Now what you do is if you grab the ruler or just eyeball it, and you just bring your lines across to key points like your chest, your hips, your knees, your ankles, your feet, the guns, the chin, stuff like that. Now that you have this, you can just carry it over. So I know the head has to fit in here. Awesome. The chest has to fit in here, and the chest ends there. All right, so we'll toss in the chest right there. His hips apparently end right there. We've got a knee, which we'll put in the front here. So that's his left knee is right here. So his left knee is up like this. And that's another thing about foreshortening. Always try to add curves, more curves than you would if somebody was standing just straight. And his ankle actually ends right there, and his foot. All right, so his other leg is back here, and his other ankle's back there, and then his foot's back here. And you can even do things like put this in lighting, just so you can see a little bit better. But now, I know where his guns are supposed to be. Okay, so we'll put his guns right there. I know his shoulder's got to pop out, but now you can see it in a little different light. You can see it directly in front of you. You can see where you need to bend it and where the foreshortening has to happen because all your points are lined up. Does that make sense? And I agree that I probably could have picked a more dynamic angle to start off with on the side, but you can quickly just start pushing all this stuff into the back to make it look like he's coming forward at us. So, I'm going to wrap the video up. I think I'm running out of time, but I hope this helped you guys. And again, if you have any comments or questions, or if you need me to talk about something a little bit more, by all means, check it out and let me know. So you guys can check out my work at JonathanRector.com. Follow me on Twitter at ArtByJar. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And I have a new video that I'm going to be putting up Saturday or Sunday. And it's talking about comic book stories and how I break them down and try to get down to the core and try to figure out what makes a comic book story work to me. And I think it's actually about 4 videos, and I would love to hear some feedback on that as well, but that's for another time. Okay, so you guys have a great weekend. Take care, and keep those lead burning, and keep coming up with some awesome stories, guys. Take care.